Commander Vextalon stood upon the observation deck of the Imperial vessel Harbinger of Dawn, watching the blue-green sphere swell in the view screen. Earth, such a plain name for a world so rich in resources. The humans had no inkling of what approached. "Status report," Vextalon ordered, forearms clasped behind his back, mandibles clicking in anticipation. Lieutenant Nari Zola stepped forward, her scaled skin catching the ambient glow of the command center. "The diplomatic transmission has been sent, Commander. The humans have acknowledged receipt and appear enthusiastic about our arrival." "Enthusiastic," Vextalon echoed, a note of curiosity in his tone. A low gurgling sound rumbled from Vextalon's throat, the Crazine equivalent of laughter. "Of course they are. Tell me, Lieutenant, do you believe they'd be so eager if they knew our true intentions?" "I doubt it, Commander," she replied, her 7 fingers drumming lightly against the datapad in her grasp. "Though I must admit, I find it peculiar how quickly they accepted our terms." Vextalon turned toward his subordinate, eye ridges lifting in mild intrigue. "Explain." "Well, sir," Narizola began, "according to our intelligence, humans are said to be naturally suspicious, yet they've agreed to welcome our delegation into their United Nations headquarters with barely any security checks. They're even allowing us to bring our so-called ceremonial artifacts." "Ceremonial artifacts?" Vextalon chuckled again, this time with a deeper, more resonant gurgle. "Is that what we're calling our quantum disruptors now?" The High Council does have a talent for understatement. Around them, the bridge crew moved with quiet efficiency, each officer focused on their console as the Harbinger of Dawn prepared for final approach to Earth. The mission's parameters were clear. Arrive under the guise of peaceful ambassadors, gain the trust of human leadership, then activate the disruptors to cripple their global communications and defense systems, paving the way for the invasion fleet concealed behind the gas giant Jupiter, which would swiftly crush any lingering military resistance before planetary harvesting commenced. "Sir," called the navigation officer Drax Pole from his station, "we've just received coordinates for our landing zone. The humans have selected a place they call Central Park." "Ah, yes," Vextalon nodded, recalling his studies of Earth's geography. "A public expanse in their New York City. An interesting selection. Highly visible, widely attended." He paused, mandibles twitching in thought. "They either want to make a spectacle of our arrival or ensure they have witnesses," murmured Science Officer Krell Moa from her console. Vextalon turned his gaze sharply toward her. "Clarify, Science Officer." Krella, ever the cautious one, straightened her stance. "Only that humans are renowned for documenting everything, Commander, will be captured from thousands of perspectives," Krella continued. "Perhaps they hope to guarantee our diplomacy. Your concern is acknowledged and unnecessary," Vex's Talon replied, dismissing her with a casual wave of his upper right hand. "By the time they comprehend our true intentions, it will be far too late." At that moment, Communications Officer Jax Tooney straightened in his seat, the bony crest along his skull flushing bright orange. "Commander, I'm receiving a direct transmission from the human leadership. They request to speak with you personally." Vex Talon adjusted the folds of his ceremonial garments with deliberate care. "On screen, officer," the Secretary General's gaze held steady. "I am certain humanity will receive them with interest." Her slight pause did not escape. Vex Talon's notice, though he masked his curiosity with a diplomatic smile. "Then I look forward to our meeting, Secretary General." Valdez inclined her head, but there was the faintest suggestion of calculation in her eyes, like a predator appraising another. "As do I, Commander. Until then." The transmission cut, leaving the bridge in silence for a moment. Vex Talon turned away from the now dark screen, mandibles curling in satisfaction. "Prepare the delegation," he ordered. "In 6 hours, Earth begins its final chapter." Somewhere far beyond the gleaming corridors of the Harbinger of Dawn, unseen eyes were already watching and waiting. "This signals the dawn of a new era for both our civilizations," Valdez said smoothly. "Indeed it does," Vex's Talon replied. "Oh, and Commander," she continued, her tone light but deliberate, "we've arranged a brief tour of select facilities after the welcoming ceremony. We thought you might appreciate seeing how we safeguard our world against cosmic threats." Vex Talon's inner eyelids twitched in surprise, though his outer expression remained composed. "How thoughtful. We would be most interested in learning about your defensive measures." "Excellent. We look forward to your arrival. Valdez out." The transmission cut, leaving the bridge steeped in an uneasy quiet. It was Narzola who finally broke the silence. "Commander, did she just invite us to inspect their defense systems?" "It would appear so, Lieutenant," Vex Talon answered, his mandibles clicking with restrained agitation. "That seems reckless," Draxpol remarked from navigation. "Or a trap," Krell Moa suggested, ever the cautious analyst. "Don't be absurd," Vex Talon snapped. "They have no cause to suspect our true purpose. Our data shows their technology lags centuries behind ours. They could not have detected our fleet. Unless," Krell persisted, "it isn't as primitive as we assumed." "You worry too much, science officer." He waved her off. "This is a gift. An opportunity to see their rudimentary defenses firsthand. It will only make our work easier." Yet beneath his confident tone, a prickling unease crept along his spine ridges. In all his campaigns, no species had so readily offered up their weaknesses. The humans were being too accommodating. And that, he knew, was rarely a good sign. "The landing party," he ordered, shoving his doubts aside. "Ceremonial dress. Disruptors concealed as cultural gifts. Just as planned. Lieutenant Narzola, you'll accompany me, along with Science Officer Kel Mora, Security Chief Graverin, and Cultural Specialist Pax Lumi." "Yes, Commander," Narzola replied, already jotting the details into her datapad. "And Lieutenant," Vexa Talon added, dropping his voice to a near whisper, "double-check the disruptors. I want no malfunctions when the moment arrives." "Of course, Commander. Though," she hesitated, "may I ask when you intend to activate them?" Vextalon considered this originally. I had planned to wait until we were inside their United Nations building, but this tour of their defense facilities presents an even better opportunity. We will assess their capabilities, identify key weaknesses, and then strike when they least expect it. A wise adjustment. Sir Narzola nodded as the bridge crew returned to their duties. Vex Talon turned, back to the view screen, watching Earth grow ever larger. Such a beautiful world, soon to be another Julian, the crazy empire's crown. 6 hours later, the Harbinger of Dawn entered Earth's atmosphere, its advanced cloaking technology disengaged to allow the humans to witness their arrival. The ship's exterior shimmered in the sunlight, its sleek, almost organic design unlike anything humans had created. It descended toward the designated landing zone in Central Park, where thousands of humans had gathered to witness first contact from the ship's bridge. Vex Talon observed the crowds below. "Look at them," he remarked to Narzola, who stood at his side. "So many gathered to witness their own downfall. They appear to be celebrating Commander." She noted, watching the colorful banners and festive atmosphere. The galaxy's most elaborate funeral celebration. Vex Talon quipped, his mandibles quivering with amusement. "Prepare the landing party. It's time to meet our hosts," the 5 selected crew. Members assembled in the ship's teleportation chamber, each wearing ornate ceremonial garments that concealed various weapons and technology. Most importantly, each carried what appeared to be a decorative staff or scepter encrusted with gems and intricate carvings. Hidden within each was a quantum disruptor capable of disabling all electronic systems within a 5M radius. "Remember your training," Vextalon instructed as they prepared to teleport. "Appear friendly, but reserved. Speak only when necessary. Observe Everything, and most importantly, keep your ceremonial artifacts close at all times. Thethers nodded, and Vex Talon gave the signal to the teleportation operator in a flash of blue light. They vanished from the ship and materialized on a platform that had been erected in Central Park. The sound hit them first, the roar of thousands. Of humans cheering, music playing, announcements being made over loudspeakers. Then came the visual assault cameras, flashing colorful banners, waving faces. So many human faces all turned toward them with expressions of wonder and excitement, quite the welcome, muttered Security Chief Graverin, his hand instinctively moving closer to the concealed blaster beneath his robes. Stay focused, Vex Talon ordered under his breath as he spotted a small delegation of humans approaching the platform secretary. General Valdez led the group, flanked by what appeared to be military officers and other government officials. She stepped forward, smiling broadly. "Commander Vex Talon, on behalf of the people of Earth, welcome to our world," she announced, her voice amplified for the crowd to hear. Vex Talon stepped forward and performed the elaborate greeting ritual of his people, his four arms moving in choreographed patterns that to humans appeared graceful, but which to the Crine symbolized the four stages of conquest: approach, infiltrate, dominate, consume. Secretary General Valdez, we are honored landing in Central Park. By this reception, he replied, his voice similarly amplified, the Crine come in peace and friendship, eager to share knowledge and culture with our new human allies. The crowd cheered even louder at this, completely unaware of the irony in his words. We have prepared transportation to take you to the United Nations, Valdez explained, gesturing toward a line of sleek black vehicles waiting nearby. Unless you would prefer to rest after your journey, that won't be necessary. Vex Talon assured her, the Crine are well adapted to interstellar travel. We're eager to begin our discussions. Excellent, Valdez nodded, and as he mentioned earlier, we have arranged a brief tour of one of our defense facilities on the way. I hope that meets with your approval. We are most interested in learning about how humans protect their beautiful world, Vex Talon replied smoothly, exchanging a quick glance with Nariola. The delegation was escorted to the waiting vehicles, which Vex Talon noted were heavily armored despite their civilian appearance. The humans were being cautious. After all, though, their precautions would prove futile against Crine technology. As they drove through the streets of New York City, cultural specialist Pax Lumi provided commentary on human architecture and urban planning, maintaining their cover as interested visitors. But Vex Talon's attention was focused on their destination, which appeared to be a nondescript building near the harbor. This is one of our regional defense coordination centers, Valdez explained as they pulled into an underground parking facility. Nothing classified, of course, but we thought you might appreciate seeing how we organize our planetary protection systems. Most thoughtful, Vex Talon nodded, his inner eyelids blinking rapidly as he assessed the situation. This might be the perfect opportunity to deploy the disruptors crippling a defense node before moving on to the United Nations for the main attack. The human delegation led them through a series of security checkpoints, each more sophisticated than Vex Talon had expected. They were not asked to surrender their ceremonial artifacts, but he noticed several scanning devices that the humans tried to disguise as ordinary architectural elements. Your security is quite thorough, he commented to Valdez as they passed through yet another checkpoint. Just standard procedure, she replied, with that same not quite genuine smile. We take the safety of our distinguished guests very seriously. They were led into a large, circular room filled with screens, control panels, and human operators working at various stations. It resembled a military command center, which it clearly was despite Valdez's diplomatic characterization. This is our Eastern Seaboard Monitoring Station, she explained. From here, we track everything, from weather patterns to space debris to unauthorized entries into our atmosphere. The emphasis on those last words was subtle but unmistakable. Vex Talon felt his skin flush with heat. Did they know about the invasion fleet? Impossible, fascinating, he replied, maintaining his composure. Your systems appear quite comprehensive. "Oh, this is just the public-facing section," Valdez said casually. "Our actual defense grid is far more extensive, in fact." In fact, she checked her timepiece. Right about now. Our Deep Space Monitoring Division should be completing their scheduled scan of the outer planets. Jupiter is particularly interesting. This time of year, Extelon nearly dropped his ceremonial staff Jupiter, where the invasion fleet was hiding. This was no coincidence. 8. He exchanged alarmed glances with his team. Narizola's scales had palled to a sickly yellow, while Graveron's hand had moved to his concealed weapon. "Perhaps we should proceed to the United Nations, Vex," Talon suggested, fighting to keep his voice steady. "There is much to discuss." The defense facility. "Tour off course," Valdez agreed readily, "but before we go, I thought you might be interested in one more thing." She gestured to a technician who typed something. Into a console, a large central screen lit up, showing a clear image of the gas giant Jupiter, and surrounding it, no longer hidden by whatever means had concealed them before, were hundreds of Crazine warships. "Your fleet has very impressive cloaking technology," Commander Valdez remarked conversationally, as if discussing the weather. "But as it happens, we have been detecting quantum fluctuations in that region for weeks. We couldn't be certain what was causing them until your peace mission arrived." The A room had gone suddenly silent, the human operators all turning to watch the confrontation unfolding. "There seems to be some misunderstanding," Vex Talon began. But Valdez cut him off. "No misunderstanding at all. Commander, we know exactly what your peace mission is, just as we know exactly what those ceremonial artifacts really are." She nodded toward their staff's quantum disruptors designed to disable our technology and leave us defenseless. Quite ingenious, actually. Graveron moved first, raising his staff to activate the disruptor, but before he could complete the gesture, the staff emitted a high-pitched whine and then went dead in his hands. "Ah, yes, I should have mentioned." Valdez continued, still in that casual tone that was becoming increasingly infuriating to Vex. "Talanthus room is shielded against quantum fluctuations, a necessary precaution given recent astronomical anomalies." Vex Talon's mind raced. The mission was compromised, but perhaps not lost. If they could return to their ship, warned the fleet. "You have made your point, Secretary General," he said. "Abandoning the pretense of diplomacy, it seems our species have much to discuss after all, but perhaps under different circumstances." "Oh, I completely agree." Valdez nodded. "Different circumstances indeed. For instance, circumstances where your invasion fleet isn't about to be surrounded by our own ships, which have been shadowing yours since you entered the solar system." As if on cue, the screen showing Jupiter shifted, and suddenly new ships appeared emerging from behind moons, from the planet's rings, from what appeared to be empty space. Human ships, hundreds of them, positioning themselves around the Crazine fleet. "That's impossible," Science Officer Krella, the trap revealed, whispered. "Our intelligence indicated humans barely had interplanetary capability. Let alone, your intelligence was what we wanted you to see." Valdez explained. "We have known about the Crine Empire. For decades, we have watched you conquer and strip mine 17 other systems. Did you really think Earth would be your 18th Vex?" Talon's mandibles clicked rapidly in distress. Everything had gone wrong. The humans knew they had always known. And now what happens now, he asked. "All pretense gone." Valdez's smile finally reached her eyes, but there was no warmth in it now. "Commander Vex Talon, we negotiate, but not for our surrender, for yours." The room fell into a tense silence as Vex Talon processed Secretary General Valdez's words. His forearms hung limply at his sides, the once imposing posture now deflated around him. His crew remained frozen, the reality of their situation sinking in like a cold poison. "I don't understand," Vex Talon finally said, his voice lowered to a rasp. "How could you possibly have known?" Valdez gestured to an unassuming man who had been standing quietly at the back of the room. He stepped forward, and Vex Talon noticed something odd about him. His movements were too precise, his gaze too calculating. Commander Vex Talon meet Dr. Elijah Tamura, director of our Xenobiology division. Valdez introduced Dr. Tamura gave a slight bow. We have been studying your species for quite some time? Commander. But impossible, Science Officer Krell Moa interjected. We have never encountered humans before this mission. Dr. Tamura smiled thinly. Not officially, no. But approximately 70 Earth years ago, one of your scout ships crashed in a remote region of our planet. The pilot survived briefly long enough for us to learn some very interesting things about the Crine Empire, that Vex Talon's inner eyelids flickered rapidly. Scout ship KX-291. He whispered it was declared lost to a spatial anomaly. No spatial anomaly. Tamura corrected, just an unexpected encounter with our early warning system, primitive by today's standards, but effective enough to damage your scout's propulsion system. Narzola stepped closer to Vex Talon Commander. This changes nothing, the fleet will be handled accordingly. Valdez cut in. At this moment, your ships are being contacted with terms of surrender. Your choice is simple: withdraw peacefully or face consequences. Security. Chief Gravorin let out a harsh laugh. You bluff well, human, but even. If what you say about your fleet is true, the Crine Empire has conquered species far more advanced than yours. Our weapons were designed based on outdated intelligence, interrupted a new voice. All heads turned. Vex Talon's crucial decision toward the entrance, where a tall, angular woman in a military uniform had appeared. She walked with the confidence of a predator, her eyes fixed on Vex Talon Admiral Teresa Okonkwo. Earth Defense Force, she introduced herself. Your weapons were calibrated to overwhelm our defense systems as they existed 30 years ago when your last stealth probe scanned our planet. Unfortunately for you, we detected that probe too. Its talons, mandibles clicked in agitation. If what you say is true, why allow us to land at all? Why this charade? Admiral Okonkwo and Secretary General Valdez exchanged glances. 2 reasons, Valdez explained. First, to demonstrate that we knew your true intentions, giving you the opportunity to withdraw without bloodshed. The Crine Empire isn't the only power in this galaxy, and we prefer to resolve conflicts diplomatically when possible. And the second reason, Vex Talon asked, dreading the answer. Admiral Okonkwo's lips curved into a cold smile. To get you off your ship. As if on cue, the large screen changed. To show the harbinger of dawn still resting in Central Park, blue lights flickered around its hull as dozens of small devices attached themselves to its surface. Neural interface dampeners. Admiral Okonkwo explained, your ship's bio-neural